we'll find out when they're 25 and, I get a call from the therapy session. I'll find out everything that I'm doing wrong. My husband and I, as I've said in other videos, lead a study abroad trip together. And that means that we actually leave our children behind. When we began this trip a few years ago, the kids were younger. They are 10 and 13 now, but at the time they were much younger than that. And although nobody's ever really judged us, or at least not to our faces, in some ways it could be a source of judgment. And so I kind of wanted to explain that and what our thought process was behind that. First of all, we're incredibly lucky to have a very supportive family. We've always made an effort. Some of our family actually lives hours and hours away, and the closest family really lives at least an hour away. And we've always made an effort to keep close contact. We knew the value of bringing the children up in a family that, at least if they weren't geographically close, at least we were going to be close emotionally with them. So we make the effort to visit lots of families several times a year. So the kids have always had the sense that they have a lot of family around them, and that this extended family, even though we don't live very close, cares a lot about them. The kids are very comfortable with various aunts and uncles and grandparents. In the past, what we've done is that the kids have stayed with their grandma and grandpa, Dave's parents, and then when school starts up again in January, the whole family actually just comes to our house and lives in our house for about the last week until we get back from India. So the way that our trip goes is we tend to leave in late December and then come back, mid-January-ish, so that the kids have some of their holiday break is spent with their other family members, and then some, and then they do have to eventually come back to the school district so the kids can go back to school. This year, my sister is actually coming down and interrupting her life for a good 2 weeks, and don't think I don't appreciate it. I don't know how I'm going to make it up to her, but my sister is actually just going to move right into our house for 2 weeks. Now we have a dog. We got a dog during the pandemic, so really it's much harder now to simply leave the house for several days with just the cats left behind and the snake. Now we get the dog, needs daily care, of course. So my sister's going to move into the house for a full 2 weeks and just live here. The kids have already expressed how excited they are about it. They're counting on the fact that she's going to be taking them places. I'm not sure she knows that yet, but I'm hoping that she's willing. The kids like museums, Helen. So I guess that's the first part of it. We've always just been really comfortable leaving the kids with various relatives, because the kids don't mind it. They actually really like it. They like the break from the usual with their parents. It's something new and different and exciting for them. And of course, we call home daily. If you were to ask my kids how they feel about us being away, we have asked them at times, what's it like with your parents being away from home for so long? And they will say, it's no big deal. Because part of that is that they really like spending time with their relatives. And then, of course, at home, the routine does not change very much. They have a really nice, stable routine that the relative who stays with them just kind of fits into that routine. And the other side of it is that with modern technology, it's hard to feel homesick anymore. Hopefully that is something that our students will embrace, was the idea that it's actually really easy to FaceTime home. There is just about exactly a 12-hour difference between where we stay in India and here, where where our home is in Illinois. It's almost exactly 12 hours. The way that we do it is we get up every morning at about 7 a.m. and we call home and we FaceTime home, and that means that's 7 p.m. here in Illinois. So the kids can report back what happened at school that day or what happened with their day, and we get to have that opportunity to chat with them. If we needed to call home more often than that, we would. If we missed the kids particularly, or if the kids were having a hard time or something was going on, then we would simply call home more often, FaceTime or whatever video conferencing tool that you use. Do you feel connected with people at home? To speak and to have the visual at the same time is just incredibly helpful. And one of the aspects of leaving the kids for a period of time is that, parenting for us, we want to parent our kids to be fairly independent. They are pretty independent. They're able to play by themselves and so on to varying degrees. I think that we have a pretty close-knit family. We definitely are there for each other all the time. And that means that sometimes when we're not there for each other, that's okay too. I feel like there's other lessons to be learned. You know, it's for the kids to understand that we haven't abandoned them for 2 weeks, that we still care about them, and that we have other things going on too. And it's not always they're not always the center of our worlds. And I think that's an important lesson for them to learn. I'm not sure there's much more to say about that. There's other priorities in life other than our kids, and that's okay for them to understand that. One of the things that makes it possible for us to leave, other than the fact that we have family that we trust and we can definitely completely ensure that the kids are going to have a good experience with these relatives of ours that we are so grateful to. Again, so grateful, so grateful. Is that our kids don't have well, I'm not going to say they don't have any medical issues, because one of our sons does actually have an autoimmune condition that requires some level of monitoring. And one of the times, I can't actually remember what the year was, but he had a change in his medication that I didn't realize how involved it was. It turned out that actually getting the medication in the first place was really difficult. It's very expensive, and therefore it requires like a special delivery and special training and all this stuff. And we were under the gun. We were just about to leave like the next day when we finally got this medication, but I was kind of sweating a little bit because we're like, oh, okay, he has to continue his medication. How are we going to continue to do this? And so that is something to consider. We probably wouldn't be able to do this if our son's medical condition was not well under control, or if we had a condition where he had to have involved treatments every single day. We wouldn't be able to do this. I think that I might be able to lead the trip by myself, but my husband might have to stay home, for example. So that is just a lucky, that's not something everybody can ask for. Even though we're not physically there, we still care about them, and kind of learning that lesson of having a little more independence, or maybe even a little bit of missing us. It's not every single want has to be fulfilled at all times, right? Kind of tied into that is the idea that I am the leader of this trip. I think it's important to see for two privileged children in this country at this time, understanding that a woman can be strong and a leader, and that's an important lesson for them to learn as well. Well, I'm a very loving mother, in my opinion. We'll find out when they're 25 and, I get a call from the therapy session. I'll find out everything that I'm doing wrong, but in my opinion, I make a lot of effort to do right by my children. But at the same time, they have to understand that my job is important, that I have other responsibilities, and that's important for them to understand, not just that their parents are going away, but their mother is actually leading this program. I think that's an important lesson for them to learn as well. Dave and I greatly enjoy this program. It's got a lot of challenges with it, a lot of challenges, but for both of us, it's nice to have 2 weeks where we're not in the same routine of going to work and parenting, that 2 weeks away together, even though it's nowhere near romantic, but at the same time, it's really nice to have the time together to do something totally different, a different set of responsibilities and a different group of dependents, and something completely else. And I can imagine the question might be, are we ever going to take our children to India? And the answer is, yeah, I sure hope so. I sure hope we are. I would really like to. We plan to do it actually in 2 years. So the way that it works at my school is that you do a J-term, a January term teaching for 2 years, and then the third year you have off. So next year I'm going to be leading a group to India again, and then the year after that I will be off. So in 2 years' time, we do plan to take our children. We may take them to Thailand, but we certainly do intend to take them to India at that time. It might be a longer trip. We'll see how all that goes. And we want to have these kind of experiences for our children. So the more time that we take getting to know India and getting to know how travel works in India, the better the experience is going to be for our children. We do intend to take them on a closer vacation come this summer. So I'll be making videos about that after India is all wrapped up. I will start making videos about our family trip that is going to be someplace else. That will be a very different sort of a thing for us to do. But I can't wait to experience those things again for myself and to bring my children along someday as well. In the meantime, it's 2 weeks away from mom and dad. That's the way it is. And the kids, yeah, they're good with it. We're good with it. They're good with it. Who's to judge?